The air on Valeth 9 didn't move. It existed, filtered, processed, purified, but it didn't live. When the shuttle door slid open with a quiet mechanical sigh, Kira Vasquez stepped into a world that smelled like metal and distance. She carried one bag. That was all. 17 years of surviving São Paulo's flooded streets, dodging stray dogs and summer storms that cracked the sky in half, had led to this sterile docking bay suspended above the stars. Ships from dozens of civilizations rested in geometric precision. Their hulls shimmered in colors she had no human words for, and every eye turned toward her. Some widened, some narrowed, some recoiled. She didn't need an announcement to know why. She was the only human on the station. The first ever admitted to the Galactic Concord Academy, Earth's experiment. Humanity's gamble. No pressure. A tall, pale blue being with 4 slender arms waited at the registration platform. Its eyes blinked sideways as it studied her, damp and reflective. You are the human. Not a question. Kira Vasquez. Her voice didn't shake. A thin data card slid across the counter. Her dorm assignment, class schedule, access codes, everything she would need to survive in a place where survival had never included her kind. Her dorm was buried in the lowest wing of the station, far from the gilded towers where the children of ambassadors and war heroes lived. The corridor lights hummed faintly overhead. Her door slid open to reveal a narrow room carved from pale alloy, 2 sleep pods, a shared wash unit, no decorations. Her roommate was already there. Celith TR sat cross-armed atop her pod, younger than the registrar but the same species, Vani. Soft blue skin, bioluminescent patches glowing faint green along her neck. She studied Kira the way one might study a dangerous curiosity. So you are real, Celith said carefully. They said I would share a room with a Deathworlder. I assumed it was humor. I'm real, Kira replied. She unpacked what little she had, spare clothes, a data pad, a worn leather bracelet, and a small holographic projector. When she activated it, light formed into the image of a woman in human, military armor, dark hair pulled tight, tired eyes, a smile that carried both pride and warning. Celith opened her mouth to ask, then closed it. There was something in Kira's expression as she looked at the hologram, something carved from stone and buried. Fire that warned against questions. The grand hall the next morning felt less like a school and more like a throne room. Thousands of students filled curved tiers that rose toward a ceiling shaped like a shell. Voices buzzed in languages that clicked, hummed, and vibrated in frequencies that made Kira's skin prickle. She sat in the back, alone. The academy director floated to the center stage, ancient and dimly glowing. His voice flowed like slow water across stone. He spoke of excellence, of tradition, of the honor of serving the conquered. Then almost as an afterthought, this year we welcome a representative from a newly admitted species. We trust you will accommodate this decision. No name, no recognition. Just tolerate her existence. Kira folded her hands in her lap. If the words cut, she buried them deep. She had practiced burying things. The first week passed in silence. No one sat beside her in the dining hall. Conversations shifted when she approached. In corridors, students drifted aside like she carried contamination. A Kthani, tall, plated in dark armor-like skin, slammed into her shoulder deliberately. Soft flesh, he said loudly, mandibles clicking in amusement. Laughter followed like shattered glass. Kira kept walking. No flinch, no glare, no reaction. Nothing. And nothing, she discovered, unsettled them more than anger ever could. At night she explored, not aimlessly. She mapped corridors, counted steps between security doors, memorized airlock placements, logged environmental shifts, gravity fluctuations, oxygen percentages, temperature variance. She watched the students too. Their patterns, alliances, weaknesses. She didn't think about why she was doing it. It was instinct. Humans survived by understanding the environment, even when the environment wanted them dead. On the 5th night, Celith returned to find Kira staring at her class schedule. Combat theory tomorrow, Celith said quietly. Instructor Kelzer. Kira's eyes didn't leave the screen. I know. He is Kthani, decorated. He has fought in real wars. I know who he is. The way she said it made the room colder. Celith didn't ask more. Later in the darkness, Kira lay awake staring at the ceiling. Beside her, the hologram of her mother glowed faintly, alive, smiling, frozen in time before everything burned. Tomorrow she would sit in a classroom and listen to the creature who had killed her. Mother explained war. She would listen. And she would remember. The lecture hall was built like an arena. 200 students filled steep tiers overlooking a central stage. Above it, a holographic projector capable of recreating entire battlefields hovered like an artificial sun. Then he entered. Instructor Breth Kelzer, massive, 7 feet tall. Armor plates overlapping across his body like living metal. Bioluminescent markings pulsing gold across his throat. He didn't walk onto the stage. He claimed it. Welcome, he said, voice deep enough to vibrate bone. To the only class that matters. Laughter rippled. He began ranking species by combat capability, praising the Kthani, mocking others. Then the hologram shifted. A small blue planet rotated above the stage. Earth. Breth regarded it with open contempt. Humanity, he said slowly, a Class 12 Deathworld species. Difficult to eliminate, ultimately insignificant. Scattered laughter. The projection changed again. A dusty human colony, prefab barracks arranged in grids, a communications tower at center, a breached eastern wall. Kira recognized it instantly. Outpost Meridian 7. Her pulse didn't change. Years ago, Breth continued casually. I led an assault there. The humans fought loudly. They bled impressively. They broke. The hologram showed flashes of night combat, explosions, silhouettes running, fire swallowing buildings. Kira's hands lay flat on her desk. Her knuckles turned white. I personally commanded the third wave, he added. Bioluminescence flaring brighter. Bravery is admirable in small animals. It changes nothing. Laughter again. Then he pointed at her. Our specimen stand. She rose smoothly. Does your species teach strategy, he asked. Voice dripping amusement. Or do you simply invent creative ways to die? The room erupted. Kira waited. When silence returned, she asked one question. Which outpost? Breth blinked. You mentioned an assault. Which outpost? Meridian 7, he said dismissively. And the commanding officer? He waved a hand. Irrelevant. Commander Elena Vasquez, Kira said evenly. She held the eastern wall for 7 hours with 32 soldiers against your third wave. Your own reports list over 100 Cathani casualties before the breach. Silence crashed down over the hall. She was my mother. The air stopped moving. Breth's golden glow flickered. Kira sat down. He forced a laugh and resumed his lecture. Louder now, sharper, trying to reclaim ground that had shifted beneath him. But something had changed. Everyone felt it. And that night, in the darkness of her dorm, Kira opened her datapad. She accessed Breth Kelzer's military record, his awards, his battles, his physiology, joint structure, nerve clusters, reaction speed, plate density. She studied until her eyes burned. Outside, the stars turned slowly. Inside, a 17-year-old human memorized the body of the creature who had killed her mother, and she did not stop. Because patience, the galaxy was about to learn, was humanity's deadliest weapon, and Breth Kelzer had just given her a reason to use it. At first, the change was invisible. Kira still ate alone, still walked the corridors with measured steps, still spoke only when required. But something beneath the surface had sharpened. Like a blade being honed in silence, combat theory exams were designed to break students. Multi-layered tactical disasters, requiring cross-species analysis and logistical foresight. The top students usually scored in the 70s. Kira scored 98, then 96, then a perfect 100. Breth graded her papers personally, deducted points for phrasing, for formatting, for a lack of elegance. It didn't matter. She still ranked first. He stopped calling on her in lectures. Every time he had tried, she dismantled his questions with calm precision. No hesitation, no emotion, just accuracy. The laughter about humans began to fade. Then came the physical assessments. Endurance trials across fluctuating gravity zones, toxic atmosphere simulations, strength calibration tests. The Cathani dominated speed runs. Kira finished her first 5-kilometer course in 14 minutes. Respectable. The Cathani smirked. Then she kept running. Again. And again. 2 hours later, while plated warriors leaned against walls gasping for oxygen, Kira's breathing remained steady. She was sweating, an alien. Biological process that unsettled observers. But her heart rate remained controlled. Stop, the monitoring instructor finally insisted. She could have gone longer. The laughter stopped. In strength testing, she matched mid-tier Gareth grip scores, the massive gray-skinned student. Dorvakas watched her crush the calibration device with quiet interest. Curious, he murmured. Environmental hazard simulations produced the next shock. Low oxygen, extreme heat, radiation exposure. She adapted faster than species evolved specifically for those extremes. How? A Vani instructor demanded after she completed a 7% oxygen scenario. Humans climb mountains higher than that for recreation, she replied. The instructor later researched mountains. She did not sleep well afterward. Word spread. The human was not fragile. The human was not breaking. The human was enduring. Dorvakas approached her in the library one evening. I read about persistence hunting, he said carefully. Your ancestors chased prey without rest, not faster, not stronger, just longer. Yes. They did this for days? Yes. Dorvakas leaned back slowly. That is horrifying. Kira almost smiled. We are patient. Breth was losing control. He felt it in the classroom silence, in the way students listened to her answers with respect instead of amusement. He escalated. Assigned impossible simulations. She completed them, publicly dissected her combat stance. She corrected it by the next session, buried her in extra readings. She returned summaries annotated with cross-references that exposed gaps in his logic. The tension became visible, and then he made a mistake. The final practical assessment was announced. A live combat simulation in the arena hall. Students would be paired randomly. Full tactical gear, non-lethal kinetic rounds, victory by incapacitation or surrender. The room buzzed with anticipation. When pairings appeared, the hall fell silent. Kira Vasquez, Breth Kelzer, instructor versus student. A demonstration, he called it. An opportunity to teach. The arena floor shimmered into existence, an urban battlefield. Tight corridors and broken structures. Kira stepped into the simulation chamber. Across from her, Breth stood massive and gleaming under the artificial sun. Yield, he said quietly so only she could hear. And I will make this brief. Kira adjusted her grip on the training rifle. No. The simulation began. Breth advanced aggressively, armor deflecting the first volley she fired. He closed distance with terrifying speed, but Kira was already moving. Not retreating. Positioning. She had memorized Cathani joint articulation limits, knew their peripheral blind angles, understood the microsecond delay between visual stimulus and armored limb response. She didn't fight him like a stronger opponent. She fought him like weather. Unpredictable, relentless. She lured him into narrow corridors where his size became liability, targeted joint seams instead of plates, forced him to turn over and over, draining energy faster than he realized. Minutes stretched. His golden bioluminescence flickered to irritated amber. You cannot win, he growled. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. 32 minutes into the match, Breth's movement slowed. Thani were explosive fighters. They were not marathon predators. Kira feinted left, dropped low, and struck the exposed nerve cluster at the back of his knee joint. His leg buckled. The arena gasped. She pivoted, driving a kinetic round into the vulnerable seam beneath his arm. Warning lights flashed across his armor. Incapacitation threshold reached. The simulation froze. Silence fell so heavy it felt physical. Breth knelt in the artificial dust, bioluminescence dim and unstable. Kira stood over him, breathing hard but steady. She did not celebrate. She did not gloat. She stepped back and lowered her weapon. The hall erupted, not with laughter. With stunned realization, the director rose slowly from his viewing platform. Class dismissed, he announced. Students didn't move immediately. They were staring at her. Not as a curiosity, not as a joke, but as something new, something dangerous. Breth stood eventually, towering but diminished. He met her eyes. For the first time there was no contempt there. Only understanding. You studied me, he said quietly. Yes. Why? She held his gaze. Because you studied my mother. He said nothing after that. Weeks later the whispers had changed tone entirely. The human no longer walked alone in the dining hall. Celith sat beside her openly now. Dorvakis nodded in greeting. Even the Cathani kept their distance, not from disgust. From respect. The galaxy had believed humans were soft because they bled, had mistaken adaptability for weakness, had confused patience with fragility. They were wrong. On Valeth 9, beneath artificial stars, a 17-year-old girl had proven something ancient and simple. Strength is not always the loudest force in the room. Sometimes, it is the one that refuses to stop. And as the station drifted silently through the endless dark, one truth settled into every mind that had witnessed the arena that day. Humanity had not come to the stars to ask for a seat. It had come to endure long enough to take one.